Whenever you're ready. Elizabeth Holmes, the world's youngest female self-made billionaire. The founder of a Silicon Valley startup worth over $1 billion and plans to change the healthcare industry as we know it. How did it all go wrong? How did this woman who graced the cover of Forbes magazine end up in criminal court for hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud? Well, let's go back to the start. Elizabeth Holmes was born on February 3rd, 1984 in Washington, D.C. to a rich family. From a young age, she was described as intelligent, composed, and resourceful. In high school, she began her first business selling computer program translators, C++ compilers, to Chinese universities. And in 2002, she began her education at Stanford, majoring in chemical engineering. However, the very next year, she dropped out of Stanford in order to pursue her own company called Theranos. Her dream with Theranos was to change the way we draw blood and test blood. Instead of the traditional methods of drawing a whole vial of blood and running tests on it, she wanted to be able to take one pinprick of blood and run hundreds of tests on that. And so she developed Theranos for that. She was able to create an influential group of board members for her committee, and some of them included Betsy DeVos, Henry Kissinger, and Charles Schultz, all who have served as presidential cabinet members. And alongside of her influential board members, she was able to draw tons of funding from families like the Walton family, and the Oracle founders Larry Ellison and Tim Draper, and Sunny Balwani, who also became her chief operating officer of Theranos. Theranos was also able to create partnerships with Walgreens and Safeway to distribute their machines within those companies. Everything seemed like it was going great for Theranos, except there was one problem. Theranos did not actually have the technology they were claiming to have. In 2014, John Carreyrou, a Washington Post reporter, decided to do some investigating into Theranos because of the company's intense secretiveness and the fact that no one had actually seen this machine that they had claimed they had. After some digging, he found that Theranos had purchased traditional blood testing machines, the very machines they were working to get rid of, and they were using that and reporting those results back to the FDA in order to be approved for their business, while still continuing to use their own proprietary technology called the Edison, which had not been FDA approved, but they were still using the Edison on real-life patients and providing real-life diagnosis for real patients. In addition to this, they found that the tests they were performing on traditional blood testing machines were coming up inaccurate due to the fact that Theranos was still trying to maintain its claim that it required less blood than traditional blood testing methods. As a result, since they had less blood, they had to dilute the blood to create more blood in order to use the machines properly. But in diluting the blood, they ended up coming up with inaccurate results overall. Many employees raised concern to Holmes and Balwani about the inaccuracies of these results and the effect they were having on real patients. But Holmes and Balwani shut them down, and they threatened them with lawsuits if they were to go to anyone else. Shortly thereafter, these employees left Theranos, and they reported their concerns directly to the FDA. In 2015, the FDA, the Center for Medicaid and Medicare, and the Security and Exchange Commissions were all looking into Theranos. The FDA confirmed that the Edison was producing inaccurate results and should be shut down. The Center for Medicaid and Medicare learned that the lab regulations were not up to par at the Theranos labs, and in fact, they failed 1/3 of their internal quality control checks. And the Securities and Exchange Commission sent subpoenas out to Theranos and its partners for fraud. In 2018, the Department of Justice announced that the federal grand jury charged Holmes with 9 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, which means that they were intentionally misleading investors and other partners. And in 2018, Theranos shut down all its operations completely. Elizabeth Holmes risked it all for success, and unfortunately, she ran out of time and money, and she ended up resorting to lies and fraud. She was a Silicon Valley prodigy. Everyone thought she was going to do amazing things, and Silicon Valley has the reputation for being the best and the brightest. But unfortunately, like Elizabeth Holmes, not everything that glitters is gold.